Hi, I'm Kim Fowler with Fowler Life Coaching, and I help people figure out what they want out of life and then keep them accountable with their goals so they can get there and realize it. I'm excited to be here. This is my first presentation with the Georgetown Chamber, and I've been looking forward to this. Thank you for coming. I'm passing I think most of you heard me passing that around. If you want my newsletter or my ebook is Designing the Life You Were Meant to Have, and it's mainly about goal setting. So if you'd like to get that, just put a little check mark in that column. And I'm going to go ahead and get started here. As Laura already mentioned, I came down here from DC about 5 years ago now. I started my business in 2008 up there. I used to be in the advertising industry, 20 years. Started my own business in 2007 in a different field, more of a technology advertising field. And I ended up selling that and working for them for a few years. While I was working for them, I started the coaching business. I got into coaching in 2003 when I lived in Miami. I read a book called 101 Ways to Coach Yourself to Success. It was written by a life coach. I had no idea life coaches even existed back then, and it just changed my life. So I love life coaching. I love helping people. And so I'm going to go ahead and get started here.
Can I ask one question?
Sure.
Before we get started, how young do you start with people? I mean, what's like the lowest age you work with?
So my clients have ranged from college age, depending on the maturity, really. And I've helped widows who couldn't get out of bed in the morning. A 14-year-old. I will say this. So I had a vision board workshop a couple months ago. I had 4 13-year-old girls in there. And let me tell you, I've never seen so much energy, excitement. They knew exactly what they wanted to do. It was amazing to me. They had the colleges they were going to go to. They had the careers that they wanted. Any hobbies that they were into, like cheerleading or band or whatever it was, they had that on there. They just, when I was 13, I don't even think I knew what I was going to do tomorrow, much less what I was going to do, however many years later. You sound like my aunt, yeah. So anyway, I don't think there's ever too young of an age to start with the basics. We don't learn how to set goals in college or even in elementary school or in, their education system doesn't teach us any of that stuff. So we get out and we want to do something. Oh, let's make resolutions. Well, what are those? Those are just kind of wishes because you don't have a plan in place to get whatever it is you want to accomplish accomplished. So I say there's really never a too young of an age to start with the basics. So that would be my answer to that. If they want, and I do vision board workshops for free. So if you can think of kids, teenagers, I think it really is beneficial. So a life coach, some people don't even know what we do. So we help you achieve your goals by setting deadlines, putting a plan in place. My clients come into my conference room, we just put papers all over the walls and just brainstorm. How can you get from A to B? Brainstorm, knock a couple things out and go, okay, they walk out with a plan, with deadlines, action plan, what are you going to do? I'm very practical. I do believe in the law of attraction, but I'm not like woo-woo, I really do believe you have to work toward what you want to get. And sometimes people don't know what they want when they come into my office. So asking the questions, trying to get it out of them, because they really do know what they want. It's just they might be not confident about it, or it might be like way down here and I have to help bring it out. So, and challenges, we all have challenges. So you want to have a plan in place so when you think about the obstacles and the challenges you're going to have, You know what you're going to do when they pop up. So anticipation is really key. I forgot I had this. This is great. Okay, so we're going to kind of talk about 2018. Where are you now? Where do you want to go? And how are you going to get there? What's the best way? And how do you maximize your success? So think about where you are right now. What areas of your life could be better? We all have areas of our lives that can be better. And I have a what's called a life wheel, which you'll see in a second, where I ask my clients to rank every area of their life 0 to 10. You never really should have a 10 because you're always trying to make everything better, right? You always want to be striving towards something. So if you get to an 8, you're doing great. If you know, my clients will come in with a 2, and I'll ask them, why is this a 2? By the time we finish, they're kind of going, you know what, it's kind of a 4. You know, they don't realize how many blessings they have, or, you know, they're not as grateful as they don't realize how grateful they should be for some of the things that they do have in their lives. They think, oh, I should have done this, or I'm a failure, or whatever. They're thinking in the past. It's like, no, you've actually done pretty well. So what I'd like you to think about is, what did you accomplish in 2017? And when you leave here today, make a list of 50 things you did, 50 accomplishments. You'll be surprised. You'll sit down and go, I did this. Couldn't even fit, it's like, let me just think of 3. But yes.
I'm sorry. And so when we think of stuff like this, we're thinking of professional and personal.
Yes, everything. You got a new puppy. That's an accomplishment. If it's something that you wanted, didn't inherit from somebody or whatever. So, think about things that you accomplished in every area. Maybe you went to church at least once a month, and that's really good for you. That's an accomplishment. And what were your biggest disappointments in the year? What are things that you thought you might accomplish that you didn't get to? And then what did you learn from that? Were there different ways to do things? Maybe you stopped at a certain point and just didn't get past it, or didn't know how to get past it. So what did you learn from your disappointments? And what did you learn from your accomplishments? Look at that list and go, wow, I did really good in this area. This area I might need to work a little bit on. And then who are you right now? What kind of person are you? Because what happens when we have a goal, we need to become a different person to reach that goal, because if you keep doing the same things over and over and over and over, you're going to be in the same place next year as you are right now. So just think about the things that you might have to do differently. Maybe have more patience. Maybe have a better accountability plan. Who are you going to be accountable to? Because we're not very good about being accountable to ourselves. So here's the wheel of life. These are the areas I was talking about. Like I said, people come into the office and they'll have a 2 or a 4, and when they walk out, they're going, oh, maybe it's a 6. Maybe I don't have a whole lot more I need to do in that area. Or, sometimes they come in and they are at a 2 or a 4, and, figure out why is that? Where are you now, and what does a 10 look like? Does a 10 look like, you've gotten a promotion in your dream job, or your health is amazing, you're at the ideal weight, and all of your numbers are in line. Relationship, love, money, finances, all of these things together. And if you would like me to send you one of these, if I have your email on there, I'll send you guys all the life wheel, and you can at home go ahead and rank them and see where you fall. So now the question is, where do you want to go? So what do you now know from what you did last year? From your accomplishments, from your disappointments, from things you wanted to get done that you didn't get done? What do you know now that you need to do differently? And then how do you see yourself this time next year? How do you visualize yourself, each area of your life? And which things would you change? Which areas do you need to really work on? Some people work too much in certain areas and just ignore the others. So how can you kind of balance that out? And the other thing, to remember is it depends on what stage of life you're in too. So if you're in a stage of life where you have little kids, maybe your spiritual or your career may go down a little bit just because of that, because you know what, you've got kids now, your family's probably going to be higher up than the other areas. You're never going to be completely balanced. If you're retired, where's the career one going to probably be? Maybe that turns into hobbies, you know. So think about your stage of life too. You don't need to have 8s in every area. And then think about what roles you play. Some people like to put their goals based on their roles instead of their areas. So, you know, if you're a spouse, or you're a parent, or you are, you know, a manager, or whatever it is, whatever roles you play, maybe you teach Sunday school. You might write your roles down and see what can you do in those areas to improve rather than the life wheel, because sometimes that works better for people. They can relate better to their roles. So think about what works best for you. And then, who would you have to be to get there? Again, you're going to have to change what you're doing. You might have to change how you're thinking about things. So, like I said, you might need more patience. You might need to feel like you need an accountability partner, or maybe you're doing something. Maybe you're hitting the snooze button every single day, and maybe you should just get out of bed, right? What do you have to do differently? Yeah, that's no fun, right? Yeah. So think about what your big picture is. What is it that when you think about your life really excites you? And think about where you really want to be, even if it's just 1 year from now. I don't like to have 5-year, 10-year goals. I might have them, but they're kind of like off. They might be on my vision board. But I don't sit down and make a plan to reach my 5 or 10-year goal, because so many things change. Your circumstances change. So many things change that you really can't forecast 5, 10 years from now, oh, everything's going to be great and this is my plan for the next 5 years. That just really isn't realistic. So what I like to do are 90-day goals. And if you have a 1-year goal, then you know what, your 90-day goals just align up to your 1-year goal. And I'll get into all that later, and why. But anyway, so do think about your big picture, where you want to be long term, and then you kind of have to break that down into today. What do you have to do today to get there, right? What does your ideal life look like? When you get out of bed in the morning, what is your ideal day? When do you get up? What do you do when you get up? Where are you going to go? Who are you having lunch with? Who are you spending your day with? Who are you having dinner with? What are you going to do before bedtime? You're going to read, relax, or you be out at happy hour, whatever your ideal day looks like. Think about that. Write that down. And then think about, why did you answer the way you did? Why are those things important to you when you think about your big picture and your big vision? Why are those things important to you? And then keep asking, why do you get to the real why? So, okay, I want to lose 20 pounds because I'll look better. In reality, it might be a confidence thing. I want to have more confidence. But until I keep digging down into the why, the losing the 20 pounds to look better probably isn't going to make me lose weight. But I go, man, if I lost 20 pounds, I would feel so much more confidence. And I would get out there and I'd do so many more things. I might go speak more. I might make more money. I might do this. You have all these other opportunities. It's like, wow, I really do need to lose this 20 pounds. It's more than me just looking better. And then you might even have a health issue, So think about the real why that you want to do something. And then keep it top of mind. That's what you think about. So when you look at your vision board every day, I write vision statements for my clients, and then I record them. I have clients who will put them in their cars and listen to them, record them on a CD. I have a real estate client, and she says she does that all the time. She sticks it in her car while she's driving around looking at properties. She said it's done so much for her. So here's the reason you want to know your real why. Because, number one, it defines success. If you don't know what success looks like, you're not going to get there. And if you do get there, you're not going to know it. because you don't know what you were going for in the first place, right? You have to have a very clear idea of what success looks like for you. And then it helps decision making a whole lot clearer, because if you're in a situation you have to make a decision, you know what decision, you know what you have to choose, because you know which one's going to put you closer to your goal, because it's top of mind. You know why you're doing it, you know how to get there. If you have two opportunities here, which one are you going to take? The one that's going to put you closer to your goal. If you're not clear about it, it's going to be really hard to make that decision. So it makes decision making easier. And you stay motivated because you know what you're working towards. And then provides clarity and focus. So you're focusing on it, you're much clearer on what you're trying to get to, and it makes it a lot easier to reach your goal. And if you aren't working on your goals, you're working on someone else's.
Can I ask a question about that? Mm-hmm. If you're working on someone else's goals, does that mean it's your goals for them, or?
No, that basically means if you're not on a path and you kind of veer off because you've got distractions, and let's say somebody asks you to do something for them, and you say yes, and then you kind of get off track of your goal, then you're really working on their goal. Now, I will give you an example of what you might be asking. My husband and I got married. I've never smoked a day in my life, except for when I was 6th grade and had one or two and had the ashtray under the bed. Almost got caught by my mom, so I quit smoking. But my husband, I always said I'll never marry a smoker. Well, of course, what did I do? I married a smoker. But while we were dating, he never smoked around me and tried to quit a few times, didn't work. After we got married, we went to the doctor's office, and his blood pressure was off the charts. They couldn't even tell him what his blood pressure was, and he was in his early 40s. So he quit smoking. Why did he quit smoking? Because it was about him, not about pleasing me. And I never even asked him to quit. He just did that on his own, but still didn't work. As soon as it was about his own health and it scared him, he quit. He got on Chantix. He was finished in 3 months. So it's all about what you're talking about. It has to be for yourself. And so now what I would like you to do is, and if anyone needs paper, does anyone need paper?
I do.
Okay. Just write down 3 goals you have for 2018. So I'm sure you guys came in here with some.
Oh, you don't want us to write it right here?
You can, yeah, you can write them on there. If I gave you room, I can't remember. Oh, I did.
Oh, good.
I did, but still, if you want some paper, here you go. Yeah, just write them down. You want some too? You're welcome. Especially spouses and kids, right? I have a goal for you. Did most of you have goals before you came in here to write down, or?
Some here.
Yeah.
We always have goals and
Didn't we sit next to each other at the giving feed? Yeah, I remember that. Okay, are you all finished then? All right, so I just wanted you to write them down. You have a 42% better chance of reaching your goal if you write it down. So always write them down. So when we're setting goals, there's different types of goals. Habit goals are I like habit goals. I think they're fun. Habit goals are those goals where you say, I am going to walk for 30 minutes a day. Something like that. You know, that's a habit. Achievement goals, I'm going to write a book this year. It's like a project or has a deadline to it. And then you have goals for roles. So like I said earlier, if you want to look at different roles, you might, maybe at work you have certain goals that you have because you are a salesperson or a manager or whatever it is. Or maybe you are like I said, a Sunday school teacher or something like that. So you might have different goals depending on what role you play. And then when you are setting your goals, like I said earlier, anticipate your obstacles. So habit goals are goals that have no deadline. They are behavioral goals, starting something or stopping something. I like to call them streak goals because what I do is I will take a calendar and I'll put an X on every day that I do what I'm supposed to do. And I see the X's add up, and then you don't want to break it. So if mine is to not hit the snooze button every morning, hey, guess what? That's what I'm going to be tracking, right? Well, this works so well. Jerry Seinfeld used it. Jerry Seinfeld, every single morning, would get up early and write jokes. And look how successful he was. He had a streak of, when I read about this, his streak was over 400 days. So he kept the streak going. And then Stephen King, same thing. He gets up in the morning and writes every single day, and he uses this method here, just marking off the calendar. So it really works, because every single day you see it and you don't want to break it, you know. So it's an easy thing to track, because you're tracking it daily. And these are some examples. Read a book every week. It doesn't have to be a daily streak. It could be a weekly one. Every Sunday you have it, or whatever it is. Make 5 sales calls every weekday, whatever it might be. Those are streak or habit goals. Achievement goals, like I said earlier, it might be writing a book, losing 20 pounds, increasing revenue by 15%. They're project goals. And you may have to change your behavior to hit these project goals, deadlines. If you want to write a book and you kind of put off writing, I mean, that's not going to help you write your book, right? You're going to change your behavior and go, okay, you know what? 4 o'clock every afternoon, I'm going to sit down and write a page, or whatever it might be. And then you're going to have to track everything. So in order to feel like you're making progress, you still have to track the achievement goals. So every week you might have something you're going to do toward that goal, and then you can mark it off and go, hey, I did this, so I'm on track, I know what I'm doing, I'm still on my plan, I've got my deadlines. And you have your deadlines for each action, not just the end project goal. So some of the reasons we don't reach our goals, we're not clear about them. We don't know our why. We have too many of them. Maybe they're, way in the distance, so we put them off. We don't write them down. Maybe they're just too big. We say, okay, I'm going to be a doctor by the end of this year. That's not going to work, right? And not being specific. You have to be specific in order to be clear and be able to focus on it. So,
can I ask you something?
Yeah.
So, let's say my goal is to exercise every day, 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the evening. Well, then something happens, and while I'm exercising, I sprain my ankle, or I break a leg, or
Yeah.
whatever. Well, then your goal goes down the drain. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes does it seem like life gets in the way, and those goals are not achievable because of things like that?
So,
And how do you get back up there?
you're basically writing talking about what happened to me last year. So I started a boot camp, and I was going religiously, got tendonitis in my wrist, couldn't do any burpees or push-ups anymore. So then I decided I'm going to run. Then I was going to lift weights. Not on my hands, but do whatever I could weight-wise. I sprained my SI joint. So then I decided, okay, I'm going to start running now. And in running, I hurt my ankle. My chiropractor finally just said, I don't think you're meant to exercise. So what I ended up, I just tried to find out what I could do, and even now with my sprained SI joint, I'm walking on the treadmill because that's okay. But you have to figure out what can you do that's even runners. Say you're going to start running and you get a patch like this, When you're not used to going outside and running in the cold, you can actually injure yourself. Or if it's pouring down rain, you have to have a plan B, which is a little different than what you're talking about. You're talking about, you're gung-ho and you're motivated and you're doing it, and you might have a plan B in place, but if you do something like that, then you are out for the count. But there are other things that you might be able to do. Maybe you can swim. Maybe you can, think outside the box. Or maybe your body just needs the rest. So those things do come into play, and everything's flexible. And my clients, I have a computer program actually where I put in their action plan so they can go from their phones or from their computers and check off things they do, but they can also change the due date if they need to. And I see all that. So if they change a due date, I might pick up the phone and go, hey, what's going on? And they'll say, oh, well, I sprained my ankle, I can't run this week, or whatever it might be. Then, okay, well, yeah, let's move that. Maybe your goal this week is to go to the doctor and get this taken care of, or go to physical therapy now, or whatever it might be. So, yeah, everything is flexible. So if you're at point A and you want to get to point B, there's infinite ways to get there. So maybe you're running, you have to know why. Why are you running? Are you running to lose weight? There's other ways to lose weight and keep yourself healthy. So, yeah, that's a great question, because like I said, that was me last year.
Just, hurt the psyche.
It does. It really does. It really does. In fact, later on, I'll show you in here, one of the things I go through is how motivation is a myth. And I'll go through that in a little bit. But, yeah, that's a great question. So a SMART goal, when you set your goals up, they should be SMART, which means they need to be specific. So, and measurable. You have to be able to measure it. If you can't measure it, you don't know you're making progress. So it has to be something measurable. It has to be achievable. Like I said, I can't be a doctor by the end of the year. It has to be relevant. So like I said before about the stages in your life, if you're a parent, maybe there's a goal out there that you really shouldn't be trying to aim for because it's going to take time away from your family. Maybe, I have a client who wants to golf in every state. Maybe that's not the type of goal that you want to have if you've got 3-year-olds at home. So, it has to be relevant. And then it has to be timely. You have to have a deadline on it. What's the end date on that? So, for example, if I said I want to go running, that means nothing, right? If I say I want to run a 5K race for the March of Dimes, pacing an 8-minute mile on July 15th in 2018. So that's very specific, and I have something I'm working toward. Now, if I sprained my ankle, maybe I'm volunteering there instead, right? If that's my why, because I want to give back to the March of Dimes, maybe there's another way to do it. And hard goals. Hard goals, I love these because we don't think about it this way, but it has to be heartfelt, something you really, really, really want. And animated means you have to be able to visualize yourself doing it or reaching it. How will you look? How will you feel when you reach the goal? A required achievement means that it's right now, it's necessary for you because it means so much for you. And your stage of life right now is in a great place to go and reach that goal. And difficult, it has to be difficult because if we don't stretch ourselves and we don't learn, then why are we doing it? We're not going to be as excited about it. It's just kind of, if I said my goal today is to make sure my shoes are tied all day, who cares, right? So make sure it's something that's a little difficult, that's going to stretch you, where you're going to learn. And what I like my clients to do is to make it a SMART goal and then walk it through the hard values. So once you have it specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely, after you've written that down, how do you feel when you look at it? Is it heartfelt? Is it something you really want? Is it animated? I mean, can you actually see yourself reaching that goal? I'm getting them all mixed up. Is it relevant? No, that's not right. What's R?
Required achievement.
Thank you very much. Is it required? It's too early. And is it a difficult one? Are you going to stretch yourself a little bit to achieve it? Then you know what? It's probably a great goal to start on. Great goal to go ahead and start working on. So in order to get a jump start on your goals, I love going through these 3 things. So let's say your goal is a 3-month goal. Let's say it's a year goal. It's a 12-month goal. Something you want to achieve by the end of the year. What do you have to do in 6 months to reach that 12-month goal? What things do you have to have in place and have accomplished in 6 months' time to still be on track for that 12-month goal? Because 12 months is a long way away. And you don't want to start it in month 10 if it's a 12-month goal. So at 6 months, you go backwards. What do I need to have done in 3 months to be on track for this 6-month goal in order to achieve the 12-month goal? And you just go back and you put things in place so that your 3 months, starting today, you know what you have to do to get to that 3-month goal. So that every day is relevant. Every day is working towards your goal. You're seeing progress every day on whatever you're doing, or every week. You don't want to have a 12-month goal sitting out there and then, it's July and you haven't even started on it. So think in terms of that. That's why if I say a 90-day goal, it's a 90-day goal, but it might be toward a 12-month goal, or it might just be a 90-day goal. But keep them short. And then staying accountable. You have to have accountability. If you're going to go to the gym every day by yourself versus going to the gym with a trainer or a friend, which one are you more likely to do? The one with the friend or the trainer? And it's kind of sad, but it's very true, and we're all that way. We value other people's time more than we value our own. So we will go and meet them because we don't want to disappoint somebody. Instead of, I don't feel like going to the gym today, I think I'll turn on the TV and do this, or maybe I'll just go to happy hour, or maybe I'll go do that. But if we know that somebody's waiting for us, we'll go because we're accountable to that person. So anything you do, try to find a way to stay accountable. Whether it's a friend, I have one client, she started running, and she didn't have an accountability buddy. She tried to get her neighbor to go with her, and her neighbor would flake out, or she'd do all these things. Finally, she realized, without even knowing, she was running every day to this kangaroo down this, on her path. And she'd stop, she'd get some water, and then she'd keep on running. Well, one day she walked in there and she had skipped her running. And she went the next day when she skipped the day, went back. That next day, the lady in the kangaroo goes, "Oh, hey, I was worried about you. I didn't see you here yesterday." She didn't even realize she had an accountability partner. So then all of a sudden it was all about being at the kangaroo to get her water every morning rather than the running part. So, think creatively. How can you be accountable to somebody? And then every night when you go to bed, what did you do today? What did you do during your day that got you closer to your goal? Just ask that question. And then write it down, because that's an accomplishment. And so how do you stay motivated? You have to write your goal down. Now, I say write it down every day because it keeps it in your head. Writing down is really important. The book I told you about, 101 Ways to Success, Coach Yourself to Success, that life coach says write it down 15 times a day, and you are more apt to achieve that goal. That's a lot to me, especially if I'm working on 3 different goals. But she says it works wonders. I haven't tried it, but I like to pass that along just in case. Stay focused on your why, whether that means looking at your vision board or reading a vision statement or listening, whatever it means. Stay focused on your why. You might even write down your why under your goal. And then change your habits. You do have to change your habits, so think about that when you're trying to get to your goal. What do I need to change? And make sure you're working on your habits as well as your goal. Set a streak and be consistent. This does help you stay motivated when you see those big red X's. Evaluate along the way to make sure you're making progress, and when you do see that you're making the progress, that's motivation in itself. And then if you fall off and something happens, get back on. Don't worry about getting anything in place. Oh, I kind of stopped doing this and I'm not going to reach my goal now. Fine, you know what? Just start where you left off. Don't think you have to go do this and that and the other or worry about it. Just go do it. I like to use the example. I had a cat. It's kind of a sad story, but not really. I had a cat who got cancer in his elbow, and I had to get his arm amputated. And my friend said to me, she's a vet tech, and she said, you know what, Kim? She goes, the thing about animals is they don't feel sorry for themselves. They just do what they have to do. They don't sit there going, oh, poor me, I don't have an arm now. He'll just start doing what he has to do. And I thought, that's so true. We spend so much time worrying about things and thinking about, it doesn't have to be that way. So if you get off course, just jump back on. Don't beat yourself up, just do it. Because we all get off course. So how do you maximize your success? Well, first of all, we have to quit sabotaging ourselves. I do call it self-sabotage because we're about the only ones who sabotage ourselves, right? It's our negative self-talk. It's our gremlins, our chatter. So, negative self-talk. I tell people, you know what? If you spoke to other people the way you talk to yourself, you wouldn't have any friends. We say the worst things to ourselves, things nobody else would ever say to us, but we feel like we deserve it, right? And then gremlins. What's up here? Chatter, 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 chatter. You got to quiet the gremlins, the ones that are saying you can't do this. And it might be, your grandmother might have said something years and years ago that just stuck with you and made you feel bad. And then it stuck with you as an adult. And you think about that when you try to go do something. You think, oh, I can't do that because I'm this. Well, people say things to say things, and you just have to not worry about what they're saying to you because it really doesn't matter. People say things because they're in a certain situation. It has nothing to do with you. It's how they're feeling. And then focusing on others and comparing ourselves. We do that too. We all do it, and it's not helpful. You don't really know. You might say, gosh, that person has everything. You have no idea what they're going through. Everybody has different problems. So staying in fear mode is a bad one too. We are all afraid of something. Or when we're trying to stretch ourselves, like I said, make that goal difficult, there's something we're afraid to do. Maybe, and it might be something little. Maybe we're afraid to pick up the phone and call somebody. Maybe we're afraid of speaking. Maybe we're afraid, there's all kinds of things we're afraid of. There's things you can do. I actually went and got hypnosis because of my fear of snakes. I was so afraid of snakes. And now, you know what? I see them on TV. I open a magazine. Doesn't even faze me. In fact, the night I got back from my hypnosis session, I was in bed reading a book, and my husband was watching TV, and there was a snake on TV. And he kept waiting and waiting. And I looked up, I saw it, and I just kept on reading my book, and he goes, what's going on? How come you didn't scream or say something when you saw that snake? I said, I don't know. It was my hypnosis actually worked. And of course, I was mad at him because he's sitting there waiting for me to scream, trying to, but it actually did go away. And it's so interesting now. I don't freak out when I see him or I think about him. I was like that. But anyway, so, what can you do to get over your fear? And I'll give you a couple examples as we go through this. And then procrastination. We all procrastinate on something. And let's go through that too, because that's a big one. So, like I said, make 60 to 90-day goals, because the Parkinson's law says if you shorten your deadlines to get better results, it will cause you to focus more intently on the task and not procrastinating, or on the goal, because it's a shorter goal. You can see results quicker. So it's a great law. I love that law. Now, stop procrastinating. How do we do that? Use the Parkinson's law. If you have a shorter goal time, you're not going to procrastinate as much. Now, the 5-second rule, this is the one I was talking about, working through your fear, and also to help you not procrastinate. Mel Robbins, does anyone know who she is? You do? She is a CNN, she works for CNN, but she was an attorney, an unemployed attorney with little kids at home, and her husband, I'm not sure what he did before, but he decided, they were dead broke. He decided to start a restaurant. So he and I think his brother was his partner. I can't read, don't quote me on that one. But anyway, bless you. They decided to start these pizza restaurants up in New York, and they did really, really well. Well, they expanded too quickly, and they got in financial trouble again. So, bless you. She's still not working. They went through they had little kids at home. They went through their college education funds, their 401ks, everything, just gone. Well, in the meantime, she and her husband are fighting every night. She's drinking too much. She can't get out of bed. She can't even get the kids to school on time. And she said one night she's sitting there and she's watching one of the rocket takeoffs, one of the space things, rocket going up, whatever, and they're doing the countdown. And, they do the 10, 9, 8, 7 on down to blast off, and she said, I'm going to use that in the morning. Because every morning was the snooze, 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 and not getting the kids up on time. And so she started using this. She said she decided to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and just get up. Forget the snooze. And it worked. And she did it again the next morning, did it again the next morning. She said she finally started doing a little research on this and started using it for everything. If she didn't feel like picking up the phone to call somebody, or she didn't feel like going to an appointment or doing something, she'd just go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, just do it. You have to do it that way. You can't say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because then you'll go 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So you have to do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And she said it really works. She wrote a book. It's called The 5-Second Rule. And it's an interesting story, and the research behind it is interesting. She did a lot of research, and that's what they basically say is if you do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, it kind of activates your brain, because while you're counting, you're forgetting what you're afraid of. You can only have one thought in your head at a time. So when you say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, pick up the phone and just call, the fear's gone. Or you might have a little butterfly while you're sitting on the phone waiting for them to answer, but you're doing it. You're taking the action. So that helps you work through your fear a little bit and helps you stop procrastinating on things you don't want to do. Try to clear out your mental and physical clutter so you can focus. So if you're working on something, whatever you have to do, whether it's a little meditation. Some people are doing this thing now in offices where they just sit at their desk for 10 minutes and try not to think about anything. Middle of the day, like right after lunch, just to clear their heads. So whatever you have to do, conquer. Their head's not on their desk or anything, but so conquer the hardest part first, if possible, of your day. Now I'm going to contradict myself. If you're working on a goal, have you heard of Michael Hyatt? His philosophy is if you have a goal, do the easiest things first so you can start marking them off until you get to the harder things. But when you're looking at your day, when you've scheduled your day of all the tasks and things you have to do for the day, do the hardest one first, because the rest of your day is a breeze. So when you're working on your goal, let's say I have a goal to start running, and today I'm going to go buy my shoes. That's an easy one, right? Put down there, buy my shoes. But I also have an angry client I have to call that day. So I'm going to call the angry client, get that over with, and then I'm going to go buy my shoes. Okay? And then break your tasks down, of course, into smaller chunk pieces. So I'm not going to go buy my shoes and run, and all that the same day. I'm just going to go buy my shoes, get that part over with. And then reward and punish yourself. So whatever it is that you can reward yourself, when you get that goal finished, and it might even be a quarterly. If you're working on a year goal, reward yourself every quarter. Or every time you do something that's really tough for you to do. What can you do to reward yourself? And make sure it's in line with the value of that goal. Don't, I lost 20 pounds, so now I'm going to go and eat a birthday cake, or whatever it might be. Instead, now I can eat anything I want and start all over.
That's under revolving goals.
Revolving goals, yeah. I have to put that in here. I have a few of those actually, but...
I have a question.
Yes.
You want to go back to the punishment?
The punishment.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, how can you punish yourself? What do you really love to do? It might be something that you just put off, not necessarily punishing yourself. So let's say, okay, I'm on a streak to work out and I didn't work out today. And I was supposed to go shopping for something, or I was supposed to go do something I really enjoy doing. I'm not going to go now. I'm going to put it off. I'm not going to go to happy hour with my friends because I didn't work out. You have to figure out beforehand what is it that you're going to punish yourself with if you don't do it, so that in the morning you know what the consequences are if you don't go do that thing that you were going to do. So it's really up to you. The punishment one is a tough one, but it's something that you don't like to do or something you want to do that you put off because you didn't accomplish what you wanted to accomplish. It's basically what that is. So shifting your mindset. So remember this, time is equal for all people. So it doesn't matter who you are, what your economic status is, we all have the same amount of time. The reason I'm bringing that up is, as I said earlier, if you're not working on your goal, you're working on somebody else's, because we all have a limited amount of time. We can't get that time back to work on our own goals, right? So make sure that you are working on what you need to be working on. And you can't, like I said, you can't get it back. And how valuable is your time? Do you even know how much your time is worth? Most of us don't. Come up with a dollar amount per minute. How much, so if you're wasting time on Facebook, how much money did you just waste? And then change your thoughts and your perception. So change the way that you think about what you're doing, because time is extremely valuable, and if we're wasting it, it's gone. And you know that, but it doesn't matter because we all get sucked into something, and next thing we know, an hour's gone by, it's like, oh my gosh, I haven't done anything. The worst is when it's something like you have a computer problem and you spend an hour and a half trying to fix it, or it's your printer, or it's a Wi-Fi issue, or something that you have no control over really. You have to get this done, and all this time goes and you're going, oh, now what? So we have enough of those. So try not to do them voluntarily, we're all guilty of that, but. So some of the bad habits that we have that stop us from achieving goals are perfectionism, procrastination, like I've already said, hanging out with the wrong crowd. Those are the people who you tell them, hey, I'm really trying to lose weight. Okay, hey, you want to go to lunch tomorrow? No. I'm taking my lunch to work because I know what I have to eat, and those are the ones who try to kind of derail you. Might even be a spouse sometimes. I remember I was trying to eat healthy one day, and my husband walks in with, what was he eating? I was just eating ice cream in front of me, like the chocolate fudge on top and all of this, and I'm just like, that's really nice of you. Saying yes to others, like I said earlier, don't, because then you're working on their priorities and not your own. Think about what you're saying yes to. Don't just say yes to say yes. And then rushing through your day. This is all about being intentional and purposeful. We wake up in the morning, hit the snooze, sleep in a little, get up, and then we're going through our routine to fly out the door. Make a routine in the morning. Look at your routine. In fact, at the end of this, if we have time, I want to go through a little exercise about that, because your routine in the morning and night is very important because it sets your day. If you are flying out the door to get to work and you're rushing through stoplights and all that, how do you feel when you get to work? Yeah, you don't feel focused and grounded and ready to go. So we'll go through that at the end of this. Good habits are to set priorities, prioritize everything, and this is all in a perfect world, I know, but reduce decision fatigue. So this is interesting to me because there's so many things that we do on a daily basis that are routine that we don't need to decide on. So Steve Jobs, what did he do? He dressed the same every single day, didn't he? What did that do? It freed up his mind to think about other things. He didn't have to worry about what am I going to wear today. He wore the same thing. Obama did the same thing. He wore the same suit. He wore the same suit, same brand, same everything, different tie and shirt, but he didn't think about what am I going to put on this morning. I think women spend an awful lot of time on that. In fact, sometimes at nighttime I have to figure out what I'm going to wear because I don't have to take the time in the morning. But, you know, and back when I was in the corporate world, I always wore black pants and a different shirt. That was my go-to. So just think about what can you automate. And then make sure you're getting plenty of sleep. That's hard, especially, you know, when you're at a certain age like me. I'm up and down, up and down, up and down all night long. Just kind of try to reduce electronics, you know, a couple hours before bedtime or an hour before bedtime. Maybe that's a streak for you. Maybe it's a new habit goal. No TV an hour before bedtime, or a cup of chamomile tea before bedtime, whatever it might be. What can you do to get to sleep at a decent hour and not be up and down all night, which is really tough? Take vacations to recharge. Stay fit. Try to do 20 minutes of moderate exercise every day. Eat healthy. And like I said, turn off the electronics at night. You know, read about something or just kind of drink your tea and journal. Write things down about, you know, what happened today? What did I do today? What did I accomplish? What do I want to do tomorrow? Have your plan ready for the next day. Try it for 30 days. See how you feel. And then in addition to having a what we need to do list, have a to don't list. Write down everything you do every day and then go, wow, I don't need to do this. I can delegate this. Or why am I even doing this in the first place? There were things I was doing. Well, and the other thing is, when are you doing them? So for instance, my coffee pot, I make sure it's filled the night before so that I'm not having to deal with that in the morning. So in the morning I put down the thing, hit the button, and it's brewing coffee. I don't have to worry about putting it together in the morning. So what can you quit doing that you're doing now? And then know your energy cycles and plan accordingly. So if you're a night owl, don't try to get up at 5:30 in the morning and start running, because that's just not going to be very successful unless you can change your behavior, but that's a big change. So are you a night owl? Oh. So you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, so make sure you're using your energy cycles. I like to do my work in the morning and have clients in the afternoon because I am physically active in the morning. I like the mornings. In the afternoon, my mind is a little calmer, and so I'm better at talking and communicating with people and listening. My mind's not going, oh, I got this to do or that to do. So, and a lot of times that doesn't happen that way, and but that's what I like to do. So plan your day accordingly to your energy cycles. And then don't multitask. Just focus on what you need to do, get it done, and get it off your desk and move on, whatever it is. There's a book out called Multitasking, It Doesn't Exist, or Is a Myth, or something like that. I haven't read it yet, but I need to read that because I truly believe that. I remember when I was in the corporate, I had 2 computers. I had a Mac and a PC and 16 people in my department, and I was all over the place. And at the end of the day, I felt so frenzied and drained, and I felt like I hadn't gotten much done, really. I mean, I felt like I was getting a lot done at the time, But then, you'd go back, it's like, oh, geez, I made a spelling mistake over here, or I did this, or I did, so then I'm redoing stuff. And it just focus, try to focus instead. So I love this concept, the magic hour. It's, I call it the magic hour. The book is called The 5 a.m. Miracle. And it's not about getting up at 5 a.m. necessarily, but it's about getting up an hour earlier than you normally would. Because what that does, it stops that rushing out the door. You get up in the morning before other people are up in your house. Take the time for yourself. You can read, you can journal, have your coffee or your tea. You could go take a 30-minute walk outside. There's all kinds of things you could decide to do. Do some yoga. Whatever it is, but it's for yourself and you're grounding yourself. And then you can take your time getting the kids up or getting ready for school or whatever you're doing, or school, getting them ready for school, getting you ready for work, and then you go out the door and you're grounded, you're taking your time getting to work, you get to the office. Some people can get to the office earlier, just maybe you don't have anyone else to worry about at home, so you get up early and go to the office and get things done before people start coming into the office and taking all your time. So think about that, and you can do it gradually, 10 minutes today or 10 minutes earlier this week, take your time doing it. Maybe it's a 4-week period to get yourself up an hour early, but think about it because it really does make a difference. You can use it for yourself. You have more time to do things that you want to do. And at night, figure out what you're going to do in the morning so that you're excited to get up in the morning and do these things. And make sure it's something that is exciting to you to do. So it'll help you get up in the morning. You won't hit your snooze button. And then again, you need to make sure you're going to bed at a decent hour, so turn off your electronics. So there was a book out called 15 Success. It's Kevin Kruse wrote the book. And what he did is he interviewed all these millionaires and very successful people about their habits, their routine habits in the morning. And there were 15 things that came out of that. And I can't remember the name of the book, but it's Kevin Kruse. So one thing they all did is they ate a healthy breakfast or had a protein shake every single morning. They would exercise in the morning, whether it was yoga, walk, run, weights, whatever. They would drink 24 ounces of water with lemon first thing because it cleanses your system. That's even before breakfast. All the toxins that build up, because at nighttime your toxins build up in your system because your body's trying to get rid of them. So in the morning, if you drink a ton of water, cleanse yourself out, then you're ready for the day. And that's another thing. If anyone has inflammation issues or anything, if you take turmeric or Boswellia or something like that, do it at nighttime. Because at nighttime, that's when your body's trying to get rid of everything, and that's when the inflammation is leaving your body as well. So it helps you get rid of inflammation. And then meditate, journal, read. They do those types of things in the morning before they go rushing out the door to their office. Because they don't have to rush. And the benefits are that they're calmer and grounded throughout the day. They tend to be fitter and healthier. They have more time to do what's important to them because they're getting up earlier and actually doing the things that are important to them. They get more done during the day. They have more energy and they have a positive attitude. Because you know what it's like when you start out your day wrong? The whole day is just, you're trying to catch up, or you have this going on, that going on, you get in your car and then you have a flat tire on top of everything else. Wouldn't it be better to have a positive attitude when you get that flat tire? So just think about getting up and doing these things. And then I wanted to let you know, I have a book called The Power of Coaching, which she's going to actually give out today to somebody. And it's a book, there's 21 authors, I'm one of them, and we're all life coaches. It talks about how we became life coaches, why we became life coaches, what kind of clients that we've helped, and how coaching's actually helped us. So you can either go to my website and order it. It's on Amazon, or You might get it, you might win it today. Just came out in December. And I'm also starting an accountability group. So people who need to kind of keep the momentum, it's a group. It's going to start mid-February, because that's kind of when we start going, we're not actually keeping our goals up. And it's a 30-minute coaching call to everyone who joins. 1 30-minute, did I say 1 minute? 30-minute coaching call to everyone who joins. And there's 2 group calls a month, so you can actually get feedback from other people too. It wouldn't just be me. If you want more information on it, just give me your card. There's a $20 discount on chamber members, so and it's so that would be it's $70 a month.
So would that be, are you going to group together people in any certain fashion in terms of industry or where they are in life, or is this going to be one group and it's going to be all different kinds of folks?
So at the beginning, it'll be one group, and it'll be all different types of people. And I feel like that's better because you get different perspectives on when you're stuck, if you're stuck on something. So let's say you don't want everyone in the same industry per se, because someone from another industry might have a better, or an outside view of it. See what I mean? Or a different stage. So if someone's in a different stage, they might be able to offer advice, or maybe they've run into that issue before, and they can give you some ideas of ways to get around obstacles or whatever it might be. You know, and a lot of times when they're personal goals, they might be completely different people, but you might have the same personal goal. Somebody might be trying to lose weight, or trying to run, or trying to save money, or, you know, might have the same health issue. Maybe you both have high cholesterol or something. You know, there's a lot of commonalities when you're talking about personal goals versus work goals. But that's a good question. Because that would be, you know, if you could find someone who's been through what you've been through, that's a big help.
So how long would the group calls be?
The group calls are an hour, and they're by phone, so you don't have to go anywhere. And there's just 2 a month. What I wanted to do is on morning routines, if you need a piece of paper, let me know. Does anyone need a piece of paper? What I'd like to do is very quickly give you an idea here on what to do for a morning routine. So write down, so you can write this down. You don't have to actually do the exercise yet. You can do it at home if you want. But first of all, write down what you do every single morning from the time you get up to the time you go out the door to go to work. And that's going to be your morning routine. Then you're going to do the same thing with your evening routine. How do you wind down before you go to sleep at night? Now the second part to this, write down what your workday morning ritual is. So when you get to work, what do you do? What's the first thing you do? Do you plan out your day? Do you go get coffee and hang out with everybody in the kitchen? What do you do? What is your ritual that you do right when you walk in the door at your offices or your boutique or wherever you're going? And then what do you do for your evening or afternoon ritual at work? So do you make sure your desk is clear before you go home? I know, I'm laughing too because there's no way. Well, what do you do before you leave your office? What are the things, the rituals that you have?
I had a boss who used to make sure his desk was clear because he would take everything.
He was delegating. Dumping.
This was in Columbia.
Oh, wow.
Just to be clear.
So after you write these lists down of things that you do now, cross off things you don't need to be doing. or things that are wasting time, or things you know are like hitting the snooze button. Why am I doing that? Try to eliminate that one. Or maybe at the end of the day at work, you're doing something you really don't need to do. Like maybe you're checking your email one last time. Maybe you should have a cutoff point. I won't check my email after 4:30 in the afternoon.
I think that's an interesting one that's on your list about not checking email first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
I do that. And usually I start it before I even leave the house.
Right.
And it sidetracks my whole day.
It sucks you in. Yeah, I forgot about these. Yeah, that's a good point. And let me tell you real quick, the golden triangle means, well, let me finish this. I'm sorry, I'm getting off track. So, after you figure out, you go through those 4 lists and cross off things you really don't need to be doing or ways that you could better use your time, and start thinking about new routines. What would energize you in the morning that you were doing? How about if it's just, maybe you run out the door without eating breakfast? How about just having a quick protein shake? Something that doesn't take a lot of time. Getting up a half hour early. What time does your morning routine start? What time does your workday routine start? Maybe if you got up early in the morning, you could get to work earlier, and then you would have your email read and things done before the office got filled up with people coming in and trying to take up your time. So what kinds of things can you do to make your day better and more productive? Think about that. And then just write down your new routines and try to stick to those, because then it's a purposeful routine. You're doing it for a reason. You're not just getting up and going to work. So you're starting your day out with an intentional purpose, which really does make your whole day flow a lot better. So on these 10 helpful tips. So the golden triangle. The golden triangle is a concept this life coach came up with, Samantha Ettis. I don't know if you guys if any of you went to Whipple. She was there last year, I believe. And she had a book out, I don't remember the name of it, but Samantha Ettis is her name. And in her book, she had the concept of golden triangle, which I think is interesting because, especially in this market, because I feel like we're all up and down, to do things. But if you have kids you're dropping off, or you're just, you have a hairdresser that you like, or doctors that you like, whatever it might be, try to do it in a certain radius. Try not to go all over town doing things. Keep things kind of, there's good hairdressers everywhere. I know we love ours, but you've got to find who works for you, but you still have to figure out, am I going to really take a half hour to drive somewhere to go get this done, which is going to be an hour out of my day, just travel time, plus what it's going to take to be there. Do I really need to go to Carolina Forest to get this done, whatever it is, or is there a doctor closer who's just as good? Do your research, but try to stay, within a certain radius. It's funny because in Washington, D.C., Midtown is called the Golden Triangle. And I don't know why, but it's it was very relevant to me because I was like, I always stayed in Midtown. That's interesting, Golden Triangle. Do what you can to be automatic about routine things like paying your bills automatically online, electronically, where you don't even have to think about it. One thing off your mind. This is a trick that David Allen had out in his book, Getting Things Done. Put a be back at certain time on your door when you have things that you're doing in your office and you don't want to be disturbed. Use Google to avoid busy times. They have that when people are at this store, look at those and avoid those busy times. And like I said earlier, have a don't-do list. Use a timer. I love using timers because I will set a time. Say I'm working on something. Maybe I'm writing an article for a magazine. You know what? I'm going to spend 45 minutes writing this article. I put on my timer. I write for 45 minutes. And if I'm done, I'm done. If I'm not, okay, maybe I'll go 5 more. But at least I'm not sitting there for 2 hours racking my brain and trying. When you have that timer set, it makes you focus. And you're focusing on that one thing. You're not multitasking during that time. I have one on my computer, actually, that's free that I downloaded. And I'll tell you the name of it in a second when I put that down. Yeah, plan out no more than 90 days at a time. Check email 3 times a day and not first thing in the morning, because like you said, that can get bad. And then use your camera phone for things, or your phone camera. I all the time, if I'm in a restaurant and I see something on the menu that I like and it says what's in it, or I might take a snapshot of that, or if there's something I need to remember, I'll take a picture of it instead of trying to write something down or whatever it might be. Like if I were in here and I saw a slide, I would have taken a picture of it so that I could just go home later and see what it was instead of writing, because that's just how I work. Some people are more visual, but it's helped me a lot, because I haven't had to use the few brain cells and memory that I have left to try to remember all these things. I just snap them and see them when I get home.
Just a quick question. What is block your calls?
Okay, so I missed that one, didn't I? So, yeah. For instance, I have a 202 area code. My number's 202-294-1080. I can't tell you how many calls I've gotten from 202-294, blop, 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 blop. And they're all marketing calls because they try to match your number to think, oh, that must be someone local or that I know, and I pick it up. As soon as I know that it's a marketing call, I get them off the phone and I block that number.
Okay, I do the same thing. Yeah, I do.
Because that just wastes so much time, and they call over and over. And here's the worst of it, they change the last 4 digits. I don't know if you've noticed that. It has to be hard down here because you're thinking if it's an 843, I mean, if I have an 843, I always pick up. But a 202 number, if I see the 202-294, I'll pick it up just to make sure, and then I block it I block it right after because I don't want to get sucked into those. But it just saves time. So if you have any other questions, please feel free to ask. I'd appreciate it if you filled out the feedback form here. And I'm going to tell you real quick what the name of that timer is if you want to download it on your computers. It works for Mac and PC. Huh. Ah, here we are. So if anyone's interested, it's Menu Bar Countdown, and you can just download it off the internet. Menu Bar Countdown, and I love it because you just click on it, set the time, and then it has a big loud, or you can adjust the volume on it, but right on your screen, Menu Bar Timer is countdown's over. I don't know, but does your phone have a timer? Sometimes I do set my phone timer.
I think so, I just don't know how to get to it.
Oh, okay.
By the time I get done, I'm going to have 50 goals. One of them will be learned on time.
That'll be an achievement goal.
I'll be writing down there and go, it'll take me all day to write goals.
Yeah.
In my first hour of the day.
People are filling out what you call it, feedback form. First, we have a speaker gift for you.
Oh, thank you. Oh, wow.
And this is the book Kim was telling y'all about. So we put everybody's name in for a drawing. I'll let you pick. So we'll have one lucky winner for the book.
Oops. Darcy. Tenor?
Tenor Darcy.
There you go.
Yay!